Hey there, let me take you on a trip down memory lane back to around 2017. Something shifted inside me, like a seismic rumble of questions shaking the very core of my being. I started to question everything: reality, existence, faith, God. It was like being caught in a whirlwind, swirling with doubts and uncertainties. Ever been there? You know, it's wild how questioning one thing can lead to a cascade of more questions. It's like pulling on a thread and watching the whole fabric of your beliefs start to unravel. Suddenly, things I once took for granted seemed absurd, and I found myself asking, how on earth did I believe that? Was I just blind? Spirituality, I realized, is like stumbling through a maze with no map. There's no handbook, no step-by-step guide. It's like being thrust into adulthood. You're expected to figure it out as you go. So naturally, I turned to YouTube, diving into the rabbit hole of videos by folks like Young Pharaoh, Foster Eday, and the profound Alan Watts. And let me tell you, those late-night Sadhguru sessions, mind-blowing. I dove headfirst into the murky waters of existentialism, grappling with questions that have haunted humanity since the dawn of time. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the deal with reality anyway? It was like peeling back layers of an onion, each revelation leaving me more baffled than before. But here's the kicker. The more I questioned, the more I realized that my old beliefs just didn't cut it anymore. The Bible? Yeah, it's a head-scratcher. I mean, come on, Christianity's rise to fame involved a whole lot of bloodshed and coercion. It's like building a castle on a foundation of bones. Not my vibe, you know? So, I waved goodbye to my Christian label and ventured forth into the great unknown. Because here's the thing, most of what I once held dear didn't really matter anymore. It was time to forge my own path, to sift through the rubble of shattered beliefs and find my truth amidst the chaos. You know, it's wild how the landscape of spirituality has morphed in recent years. Suddenly, everyone's jumping on the manifesting bandwagon, promising billion-dollar dreams with just a sprinkle of ancestral magic and some spirit guide vibes. But hold up, isn't spirituality supposed to be about, well, spiritual stuff? Like finding inner peace and enlightenment? It hit me like a ton of bricks. A truly spiritual journey isn't about manifesting mansions or cashing in on ad revenue. I mean, Buddha wasn't out here giving seminars on how to snag a yacht, right? And let's talk about enlightenment for a sec. It's like the ultimate endgame, right? But when you really unpack it, enlightenment means saying sayonara to this 3D world and realizing that life is basically one big VR game. It's like waking up from a dream and realizing you've been sleepwalking through life. But then, during one of my Instagram lives, someone dropped the classic "Jesus is the way" bomb. And hey, I get it. Everyone's entitled to their beliefs. But here's the kicker. Belief ain't truth. And the Bible? Well, let's just say it's got a pretty sketchy history. I mean, think about it. The same folks who handed us the good book also kept our ancestors in chains for centuries. Talk about a plot twist, right? So when some dude tried to call me out for being a churchgoer instead of a true believer, I had to drop some truth bombs. Beliefs? They're like opinions, everyone's got one. But they ain't facts. I mean, just look at how our views on smoking have flipped over the years. Believing and knowing, total night and day. If you know something, you don't gotta believe it. It's just a fact, plain and simple. So let's agree to disagree and respect each other's truth-seeking journeys, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make sense of this crazy ride called life. You know, the truth is, the whole idea of objective truth is a bit of a mystery. We're all just out here trying to make sense of the world in our own way, right? I mean, take Christianity, for example. There's like, what, 30,000 to 40,000 different flavors of it out there. That's a whole lot of disagreement over what's written in the good book. So how can anyone claim Christianity's the one true religion when they can't even agree on what they believe? But it's not just Christianity. Every religion's got its own interpretations and flavors, from Buddhism to Islam. And hey, if it works for you, who am I to judge? Whether you're meditating your way to enlightenment or saying a prayer to the big guy upstairs. It's all about finding what speaks to you. And let's not forget about the commercialization of spirituality. You've got these influencers on social media, all woke and spiritual, but really just chasing that cash. It's like they're selling enlightenment by the pound, scamming folks out of their hard-earned attention. At the end of the day, though, if you're truly interested in finding out what's what, You gotta be willing to dive deep. Set aside your beliefs. Take that leap down the rabbit hole and see where it takes you. Because in a world where everyone's peddling their version of the truth, the only way to find out what's really real is to go looking for it yourself. Isn't it wild to think about why we're all here on this crazy spinning ball we call Earth? Some folks might be content to just go with the flow, but not me. Nah, I refuse to be a sheep following the herd. I broke free from the fog of ignorance. And let me tell you, the view from outside is eye-opening. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. Far from it. In fact, I'll be the first to admit that the whole truth thing, it's a bit of a mystery. Who's to say if our reality is just a cosmic joke played by some higher power? If we're living in a simulation, how would we even know? It's like trying to grab hold of smoke. Just when you think you've got it, it slips through your fingers. But you know what? That's okay. Because maybe, just maybe, not knowing is the first step towards finding out. People are so afraid of the unknown, clinging desperately to their beliefs like a security blanket. They worry that without their faith, the world will descend into chaos. But fear? It's just smoke and mirrors, my friend. False evidence appearing real. So here's the deal. Embrace the uncertainty. Dive headfirst into the abyss of the unknown. Because admitting that you don't know anything, that's not a weakness. It's a strength. It's the spark that ignites the fire of discovery. The first step on the journey to uncovering the truth about who we are and why we're here.